is our original pump, but then we started really looking at it. You always want to tear things apart and not just say, it looks really good on the outside, let's take it and run with it the way it is. If you'll notice, there is scoring all around this perimeter on the outside edge, and you can catch a fingernail on it. That's never good. There's also, you know, some wear around the perimeter where this thing butts up to the base, and then also around the base there's some stuff. It's not really scored, but it's also worn down through the hardening. We think it's a hardening layer. That's what we're going to call it, the hardening layer. And then these have got scores and marks all over them, so it's going to kind of be, in my opinion, something you just want to go ahead and replace. It's $49, and while we're here, we're going to replace it. So we're going to take this one, dump her over in the trash, put a brand new one in there, and Cam's going to talk to you a little bit about putting the oil pump drive shaft and everything together on that right now.
All right, so I've got our new oil pump drive shaft. We got an ARP one here. This isn't so much a performance upgrade as just a ease of replacement and safety, I guess. This is a more durable drive shaft, so on high pressure systems, you can get to where you'll actually spin the original one. So it's easy, cheap replacement. But we do have to set the pump depth by changing the height of this star washer here. I'm going to try and match it up to the stock one, kind of close. I'm going to move it to about halfway, put the drive shaft in and the pump in, and see how much space I have. So I'm going to take a socket that fits over to give it a little love tap, just to move that down. Now end to end, about halfway where I was. So I'm going to put this in now. I want to flatten this out as much as I can so there's not a high spot in that washer. Alright, so I'm going to take the drive shaft now. Star washer goes down into the bottom of the distributor. We do have the distributor mounted for this. Alright, that is in. I'm going to take my oil pump and my gasket, because the gasket will minusculely change the depth of the oil pump. I'm just going to snug these down, not going to torque them yet. That one's snug. Right there, got about an 1/8 quarter-inch of play, something like that. Alright, so I'm just going to snug both of these down to where I know that the oil pump is seated on the block. Alright, just reach my fingers in there, and you can hear that bump. It's got about an 1/8 of an inch of play. There's no real spec on that. Just don't have it tight, because this will heat up and expand, and then it's going to put pressure onto the oil pump, which puts pressure onto this plate. Bad things happen. Your engines don't live. So I'm going to grab a torque wrench, torque these down, and then I'm actually going to pull the bottom plate off of this oil pump and check it, just to make sure that there's no surface rust in there. Whole COVID supply chain's not great. That's not right.
I think it's kind of crooked and like it's this way.
In every
this way.
in every direction, it's wrong.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I've always understood you want it like on the pan, but
yeah, you want like 3/8 of an inch from the pan, and then
right.
You want that to be as flat as possible.
So it'll be like a 1/4 of an inch here and 3/4 of an inch on that end.
Variable oiling.
All right, bag it up. Now what I'm going to do is I've got some Play-Doh that I'm going to set right there. I'm going to probably reduce the amount of
I was
Play-Doh.
gonna say, let's do multiple to figure out.
Yeah,
exactly
I mean,
how
my only concern is dropping it down inside the block. That's the only concern.
It's just gonna fill up the crevices and stuff.
Because this is going to get slippery. I know it's not going to be a problem down there. That's our biggest issue right there.
Yep.
It's just going to move around with it the way it is.
Yeah, shouldn't.
That's good enough.
All right. Now I'm going to drop the pan on it, and I do not have the gaskets on it.
And you kind of want that because the gaskets are going to...
I can tell you it's not touching at all.
Gee, I wonder why. It didn't touch it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean we need to screw around with the oil pump pickup? Or just tell him he needs to make real sure he keeps at least checking the oil for, like, consumption?
I would like to mess with the pickup. Correction, I don't want to mess with the pickup.
No.
But I don't want to run with that.
No. All right, let me get this out of here. Check and make sure I didn't drop any down inside of the engine block. This is so much fun. I forgot how much fun Play-Doh is.
Wait until you go throw it at one of the kids.
B. Jackson.
Where is my ratchet?
You know what's hard around here? Keeping the Play-Doh.
So
Kids
tasty.
see it in the toolbox and think, ooh,
So
Play-Doh.
tasty.
Probably won't see that again if the kids find it.
Yep.
All right, I'll go back here and do the other thing.
Alright, so we have our cylinder head gasket already put on. I've cleaned the block, cleaned the head, put our new dowels in, and found the side that is marked front. You can't really see that because it's extremely hard to see.
So it's like a claymore.
Yeah.
Front toward enemy.
Yes, front toward enemy. So the main reason you want to do that is so that you don't mismatch water ports and block off some ports, because that would be bad juju. So that's on. I'm going to go ahead and set our cylinder head down. This is the fun part where you figure out just how strong your arms actually are. All right, that went in much easier than I thought it would. All right, so I'm going to take my lower bolts. These already have some pre-installed thread dope. I'm going to put another goop on there. More sealant never hurts. For your engine though, make sure to follow whatever the manufacturer says to put on the threads. These go into water ports. This one I'm not exactly sure which bolts truly require thread sealant, so I'm just going and putting them on all of it. It's not going to hurt it if it doesn't need it. Just a little bit of extra lube. This stuff is like Teflon and sealed threads anyways. It's that good stuff. And as you can see, I'm able to thread all of these in by hand, and that is because that we tapped all of the holes on the block. If you don't do that, you will have the goop that is remaining from the old head bolts in there, and it will make it much harder to start all of your bolts, and will also throw off your torque spec readings. All right, so I'm going to start snugging this down in the torque sequence. All right, so I'm doing this in a 3-step. So take your final torque, divide it by 3, and increase by that amount each time. And that just pulls the head down uniformly. Right. Now the engine cart is going to want its twist, so I'm going to flip the head to where the head bolts are vertical or horizontal that way, so that I'm applying torque vertical and it won't fight me near as bad. All right, now this is rolled over. Right, now up to the final torque. All right, I'm going to go through, re-click every bolt. That head is good. I'm going to go ahead and mark all of my bolts that are torqued and get the other side on.
All right, we've pulled this oil pickup that we had on one of our other 302s out of the drink for a minute so that we can show you that there is a colossal difference between these two. Now, Cam's over there getting the other head put back on the engine, but I wanted to take a little minute before I throw it back in the soup to show you just exactly how bad this one is compared to this one. We don't even know if this one's right, but we know this one's wrong, and this one actually sits a little bit better. So once we get everything taken care of, we'll go in and put this one in there probably, test fit it and make sure it's going to work, and if it doesn't, we're going to be ordering another pickup. Back in the drink you go!
Alright, so I've got the new to this engine oil pump pickup tube on there. It is noticeably flatter already. We just dunked this in the ultrasonic for about 30 minutes on heat, let it get cleaned up, cleaned it out with some carb choke cleaner. Now I've got it re-Play-Doh'd with the bags on it.
Play-Doh'd or Play-Doh'd?
Whatever. Re-Play-Doh'd. Drop this on, and I can already feel the Play-Doh is hitting there.
It's whooshing.
All right, press it down all the way onto the pan rail. Pull it back up. Pop my outer bag so it wouldn't stick. So we've got 3/8 maybe right there. The real question is the front. We're looking about a quarter to 1/8 of an inch, and that's without the oil pan gasket, so that's going to add a little bit of depth. And the back is pretty equal, I think. Yeah. So this is much better. This shows the importance of why you need to check these. Just because it was running before doesn't mean that it was right before. So glad that we found that out. I'm gonna put my Play-Doh away. We should be
My Play-Doh, let's be clear.
my Play-Doh. I'll spit in it. I'll eat it. I like this flavor.
You in the Marine Corps.
All right, we should be good to go.
All right, I want to put this back on here real quick. I want to go over one or two little things on what we got going on. This pan took a strike right here. And it was a pretty hard strike. I mean, it was actually pooched up pretty good, which may account for why the oil pickup is a little kinked.
Yeah.
But also what happened when it took that strike, there's also another one right here. This strike here actually dropped the pan in that corner a bit because it pulled this down. I went after it with a hammer on the inside off camera, tried to pick it back out. My point in saying that is I don't know that there's enough sugar in your nickel doing that. You might be better served just going ahead and getting a brand new pan and putting it on.
Yeah. These days it's pretty cheap.
They're pretty cheap. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're cheap enough that I don't. You know, you're talking about a central point of keeping your engine alive is the bottom of that pan being the correct distance from your pickup. Now, if you do what we did, and you do the measurements all the way around it, and you make sure you got good clearance around it, then you're probably going to be okay. Yeah. And I'll probably even go in and do a little more work to try to get this to drop out and flatten out a little bit more before we final this thing out and start painting on everything. That's something to look at. Anytime you're doing something like this, you'll want to go in and actually check and make sure you don't have a pan that has a real bad dip in it. You're looking for scarring across this section here particularly. This is always a big strike spot. Matter of fact, there is a strike mark I can feel now right here on this. So anytime that kind of thing happens, there's a potential for pushing the pan. Speaking of pushing, I don't know where I'm going with this. Do yourself a favor and go check out the Patreon account. At the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me, but you don't have to do $10. You can do, I think we got a $2, we've got a $10, we got a $20, and we've got Super Nitro that are guys that are willing to put a lot more money where their mouth is doing the Patreon support. It actually doesn't benefit me at all. It goes to pay Darren as he comes in here and edits. By the way, Andrew said he was going to be around. We've seen him once.
He's out to buy cigarettes.
He just happened by. He actually worked, what, last Saturday? Yeah, last Saturday he worked.
We still love him.
We love him, but we think he's pretty much taking the blue pill and he's leaving.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, but anyway, the money goes to support Darren, and also the kids that come in here. The money also helps to pay for pizzas and things like that when they're in here helping us do the edit stuff during the weekends. So do check out Patreon. We sure appreciate it. Also, you know where I'm going next, folks. It's Super Thanks. Yes, the best idea with the worst name from the guys at YouTube. Marketing department guys, could you have come up with something a little bit better? Darren, how much is it that you have to put in there as a minimum?
$2.
A minimum of $2. There's your 2 cents.
Inflation.
It's inflation. If you give us $2, that's your 2 cents, and I'm still going to mention you like you gave me 2 cents for a tip, doing a really good job waiting at the table.
I'm broke, so I'll still take it.
I'll still take the $2. We will also still take that $1.5 million as well. YouTube will be really happy because they get a certain portion of that. I think it's like half of it or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. So anyway, check out Super Thanks. It's a way to thank us for a one-time thing where it's like, hey man, that video really just did it. I'm happy. Or that video sucks so much I'm giving you $2. Either way, I get $2 or I get $20 or $10. Up to you. Do me a favor with all that, folks. Be kind to each other, love on each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Autorestomod. I'm thinking I'm going to talk my buddy into a new pan.
It's not bad, but it has been hit a few times.
It's also it's bad. It's not
Over here.
We know we don't want to do a new timing cover because I haven't been real happy with what I've seen.
Yeah.
Timing covers are bad juju, so we're going to stick with a stock timing cover. And we don't even know, this sucker here might leak. I haven't even tried pulling it off to see if it's still okay inside. But there's scratches all over this thing. And
Yeah.
the more I lucre at it, the scarier I get.
These pans never really fared well in these cars.
Right there.
Especially once you lower them anyway.
Let's do the Dukes of Hazzard and a Maverick. This was in a Comet GT.
Oh, yeah.
So you know there was some Dukes of Hazzard. There was some Dukes of Hazzard happening in this car. And it was a manual shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been duked. You've been duked. All right. Well, I guess that's it then.
Yeah, for this week.